Hello, everyone. A very good morning to you. Welcome to Road Atlanta here in Georgia. It is Ferrari Racing Days, and the first of the races for day two of this extraordinary weekend is about to get underway. That is for the Coppa Shell drivers, the mix of AM and Shell drivers, and a huge grid of cars that will be taking to this extremely challenging track. 4.088 kilometers, 2.54 miles, 12 turns, 5 of them left, 7 of them are right-handers. As you can see, we've been to Daytona already. We're here in Road Atlanta with Indianapolis to come, then Montreal, Laguna Seca, Watkins Glen, and we have the Finale Mondiale this year being held in the United Arab Emirates in Abu Dhabi right at the beginning of November. Cars are prepared on the grid. We're prepared here in the studio as well. This is where the circuit is. And alongside me, official Scuderia Ferrari test driver, Le Mans star, Formula One star, top geezer, an all-right bloke. It's Marc Genet. Welcome, Marc. Lovely to see you.
Thank you. It's so good to be here. It's a great day. Excellent weather, one of the best tracks in the world, for sure. I mean, those drivers are enjoying it so much, and we saw some amazing racing yesterday, and I'm sure it's going to be the same today.
We're looking forward to that. So 4.087 kilometers here at Road Atlanta. That's what we've got to look forward to, and that big grid of cars will be hearing Marc's expert advice and words of experience during the course of the program today. The air temperature 12 degrees, track temperature 13 degrees. Forgive the pun, for all the challenge drivers today is going to be a real challenge. So Shea Adam is down there to clear the grid for us so that we can get racing underway.
Ladies and gentlemen, I invited you out here to see the cars, to take your pictures, to get your selfies, as there's a selfie taking place right in front of me. Now it's time to make your way off the grid. Please evacuate from where the cars are, because we can't get these things fired up if you guys are still out here, and I know everybody wants to see a race. So we're about 2 minutes away from the command being given by me, because I like being bossy if you guys can't tell, and then we'll be able to get the race going. But please find your way toward the exit of the pit lane.
Thank you, Shea. That was done politely and, if I may say, with some authority as well. Marc Genet, hugely experienced driver. When you're sitting in the car of a car at this point, you kind of just want the race to get underway, don't you? Because the nerves, the anticipation, everything's going through you.
Yeah, actually, most of the drivers are very, very nervous before we get in the car and put the helmet on.
Right.
When you put the helmet on, you just concentrate about what's about to happen. How do you have to do the start? The first corner, of course, everybody's very worried about the first corner. But when you normally are very, very nervous, and all of us are, even, next weekend it's going to be, we are going to Australia, and even Charles Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel, I guarantee you they have probably the same nerves that all of these drivers have now. It's something normal, and it's something, I think it's even good. That means you want to do well, but you don't know the outcome.
Of course. Thank you, Marc. So we'll be hearing more from Marc during the course of the race. Let's go back down to the real hot seat then, and that is Shea Adam, who's in that assembly area.
With all the power, because the order was given, do not do anything early, but it's time. Drivers, start your engines!
And on command, they indeed do that. Of course, the Ferrari 488 Challenge engines roar into life. Now, another point I'd like to ask, Marc, is all the drivers are experiencing this weekend, for the first time in racing anger, the evolution of the 488 car. And I said earlier on in the program, how do you make something that is so good even better? But you guys and all the engineers and all the technicians back in Maranello, you seem always to be able to find little secrets, and you've made this car even better still.
Yeah, this is something that the engineers back in Maranello, they don't stop to surprise me. They always trying to improve. They always thinking how you can get something which is already very good, if you can even better. In that case, we've worked especially on the other aerodynamics of the car. You can see on the front, the splitter is more developed. It has more, it's a bit bigger, and that's giving you more downforce on the front of the car. And also in the back of the car, they've increased the downforce on the rear. So the car is already very powerful, but that way it's more drivable, has more cornering speed, and it's just the drivers, they have more feedback. They have more feeling on when the car is driving.
And as a racing driver, Mark, when you reach an evolution of a car, I've been very, very surprised at how very quickly the drivers have, got involved with this evolution of the car. And every single driver that I have spoken to, not only the improvements that Ferrari have made, but also the tyres are more forgiving as well. They have more durability in the race, Mark.
Yeah, first of all, we improve the car based on the driver's comments.
Yes.
So whatever they say, we take that into account, and then the engineers develop the car to suit their driving style. But not only the car, as you say, also the tires. The Pirelli tires have had some evolution. We wanted to make the tires more consistent, more durable, less degradation throughout the race, which is something that you can easily see on the lap times. The lap times are more consistent. And in the past, tires were a bit more picky. They had a lot of grip at the beginning, and then they were dropping off. So both changes from the car and from the tires have had very positive comments, and it shows it on the grid. We have an amazing grid, 30 car grid. There's no championship in the world, around the world, one class championship that has such amazing numbers of cars, and that proves that this car, the drivers, they really enjoy it, and the racing is so close and so good.
Indeed it is, and we're not far away from that racing getting underway because the cars are on their formation lap right now. Let's take a high-speed lap now on this fantastic Road Atlanta circuit.
My name is Didier Theys. I'm the head coach of the Challenge Series North America. We're driving here with Jordan Workman. You know, I will commend that lap of Road Atlanta, the roller coaster of Georgia. Turn 1, very, very fast corner in 5th gear. You know, you try to get all the speed you can get at the exit. 670 horsepower in a, Ferrari Challenge Evo. You know, wonderful. Turn 3, a little bit on the curb. You end up in the S's. You try to keep the momentum. Heavy on the throttle, very precise because everything is in 5th gear, very high speed. Every braking for turn 5, you're late apex, back on the throttle early. You get a good straightaway between turn 5 and turn 6. Try to get all the revs you can get from that engine. Every braking for turn 6, a little bit of banking, very early on the throttle. Very fun part of the racetrack, every braking for turn 7. Very precise at the apex in 3rd gear because you get a long straightaway after this corner. Long straightaway, try to get all the revs you can get for that beautiful engine. You stay on the middle of the track, just to be safe. Try to release the steering wheel, not to put pressure. Release the car, get the free up of those wheels. After the corner workers, you come to the right. You want to have an heavy braking alongside the white line. Very heavy braking, go down to 3rd gear, a little bit on the curb on the left-hand side, a little bit the curb on the right-hand side, a big acceleration. You want to be underneath the white square. You end up in the last turn, the fastest turn of the racetrack in 5th gear, late apex, and right after the apex you put 6th gear, very high-speed turns.
Thanks very much to Jordan Workman and Didier Theys, the voice of that high-speed lap around this Road Atlanta circuit then in one of these 488 Challenge Evo cars. I was watching yesterday Marc Genet give us a high-speed lap in an F1 car. My goodness, when you stop to brake for turn 12, it's amazing. Quattlebaum and Booth and Horseman and Coleman and Gaillot and McCarthy on the first 3 rows of the grid. And it was Michael Watt and Kevin Milstein and Chang and Lennon and Wetherill and Bernier occupy the next 3 rows. The head of Dave Musial Jr. and then Aitken and Savini and Carroll and Choxy and Ian Campbell, then P18 on the grid. Head of Mike Luley and Krakel and Lance Corley and Davis and Heggie and DiCarlo then occupying the next few rows. Vittel, Pereskoya, Langberg, Hertzberg, Jay Schreiben, who had a torrid time of it in qualifying, and Eileen Bildman then. That's the way the grid looks. I got it wrong, Mark. It was when you braked going into turn 10 in a Formula 1 car. I'm sitting here screaming to myself saying, Mark, brake, brake, brake. I mean, it's absolutely extraordinary roller coaster of a track, isn't it?
Yeah, the Formula 1, the main reason why Formula 1, which you're going to see briefly, actually, just after this race, the
yes.
Formula 1s are going to go on track. You see the 2003 GA, which is probably one of the best Formula 1 ever built. But braking into turn 10, yeah, we just brake so late. It's unreal because the car has a lot of downforce, because the car is very light. It has these carboceramic brakes, which these cars have as well.
Yes.
And in that point, the braking is just phenomenal. And coming from 320 kilometers an hour. So, and that's why it's the lap record, which was done 2 years ago. I did it with that car, the 2003 GA, which you're going to see briefly. It's 1 minute 01 seconds, you know, and most of the lap time gain, not so much from top speed, because top speed on F1 is not so much more than the challenge, but it's braking and cornering.
Well, thank you very much, Mark. Okay, then the cars are rounding the final turns ahead of the start of this race. What was unique about this race is we've got an AM driver out-qualified the Shell drivers. Michael Quattlebaum then going from P1 on the grid. Jim Booth alongside. Then it's Brad Horseman and Tuck Coleman then as the cars round the final turn then. And we get the green flags and we go racing. Everyone jostling for position right at the start of the race. Of course, expect Gaio and McCarthy and Watt and Kevin Milstein all to have a go from further back down the order than they would like, but Jim Booth has done a fantastic job and has put his car P1. He makes it very, very wide to deny anyone the opportunity to come through. So Jim Booth then, who's got lots and lots of racing experience, using all that experience to put the car and position it perfectly, Mark.
Yes, he had a perfect restart. He went on the throttle a little bit earlier and he had the good line, but again, like yesterday, so far all the drivers seem to go through. That's what we want. We want close racing, but the first lap is very important. There's no accident, and so far they are behaving extremely well. But there's a good fight here, we can see. And it's not over. He's on the inside, and yes, he's... Oh, not yet.
You've got to be brave to have a go, but being prepared to have a go is what it's all about. But as Marcus said, good, healthy respect between all the drivers as well. And McCarthy is one that's going to be one to keep an eye on as well as he makes his way up the order. But what Jim Booth is doing now, which I guess is important to do, is once you've got your nose in front, Mark, is to try and build that gap between you and the P2 driver, and that's what he's doing.
Yeah, he's trying to build a gap so that the slipstream, wow, he's braking so late into... Yeah, Quattlebaum has had not a great start, so I'm sure he's going to try to get back some of the positions lost, because he was on pole position and now he's in the third place, but the race is long. It's still 28 minutes left.
Yes.
And there is plenty of time. But basically, John Booth, I think Booth wants to have a gap, and that way the others cannot benefit from his slipstream.
So Jim Booth then, who's trying to break any opportunity for anyone to take advantage of any slipstream. Up to P4 already is McCarthy. He is going to be one to watch. Let's get a replay of the start here and we can see how he nailed this absolutely perfectly. Well, we were going to have a replay. Here it is.
Yeah, you can see also...
He got a little bit of a tap, didn't he?
Yeah, a little bit from the... And then we can see here from the outside. But so far, I think everything has been clean, just close racing.
So there we have it then, and let's go down to the pit lane now for some news on Quattlebaum from Shea Adam.
Michael Quattlebaum's 4th ever race start was what you guys just witnessed. He has only done track days. He's never done more than 3 racing weekends because Daytona was his racing debut. He was racing alongside Jim Booth, a guy who's been racing for at least 4 decades. That's what experience gets you on race starts.
That's a very fair point that you make there, Shay, because, and that actually, Mark, that reinforces the ethos, if you like, of the Ferrari Challenge, because you can get a situation where you've got Jim Booth, who's done lots of racing, and then Michael Quattlebaum, who's new into racing, who's being able to perform right at the top end of this grid as well.
Yeah, and that's what we want. We want drivers who have less experience learn from the drivers who have more experience. And his start was good, but just not perfect. Yeah, he's also under pressure.
McCarthy.
Oh, he was going wide.
Oh, no, this could be... Oh!
Wow.
That's a great shame. Brad Horseman then, who the car was... just spat him into the wall. I thought he'd held on to it, Mark, to begin with, but the one thing that we should say about the Ferrari 488 Challenge Evo car is he just gets out onto the grass, and at this point I thought he'd saved the car, but the back end just went and he made contact with the wall there. Now, what I do want to say is that the integral safety of these 488 Challenge cars is remarkable, Mark.
Yeah, the cars are extremely safe. They have a very strong chassis. They have all the safety measures that you can have for the driver. I'm sure the driver is okay, although it was quite a high impact because that turn is done in 5th gear, almost flat. And we'll see now how they react, whether they do a safety car, which I assume they'll
Yes,
have to.
I think I would agree with you that I expect the safety car to be called for the recovery of the Stricken 105 car of Brad Horseman. But for the moment, everyone is still racing. We've not yet seen the safety car called for, which amazes me, but I'm sure it will come in due course. And you can see the cars are still very much all about racing at the moment, trying to make up positions wherever they can. Brad Horseman was in the fight, certainly. And he unfortunately has ended up in the wall. The one that's really impressing me at the moment is McCarthy, who's going to put the chase on. And here you can see McCarthy now is P2 with Jim Booth P1. Now, there's a real difference in terms of the ages of these drivers between Booth and McCarthy. Now, McCarthy, who has had 2 wins out of 3 starts, and one of those was yesterday. He is going to be pushing Jim Booth for all his worth now, and Todd Coleman running in that P3 position now. And then it's Milstein and Gaio and Lennon and Chang. But this is where he's really trying his luck, isn't he, Mark? Coming to the outside, different line completely.
Yeah, from the outside it's very difficult, but he's trying, and he's managed to do an amazing overtaking here from McCarthy. Really, really good stuff.
You must have so much confidence in the car to be able to go around the outside, which he did, which is not the optimum line, is it?
No, it's not. You're doing more meters. You are also on the dirty side of the track, but that turn is quite fast. It's done in 4th gear, and he managed to keep the momentum going, and so far so good. Now we have to see if he's able to pull, but excellent. You know, so far we've had 3 different leaders, and the group is bunched, so no one is pulling away.
No, it's only the first 5 minutes of the race as well, but we do have a new leader, and that is this car that is sent a picture right now of Jason McCarthy, who took a win yesterday. It was a win in the opening race. We can just see the wave double yellows there, which is what they're using to recover the Brad Horseman car. So the cars are continuing to race, of course. With a wave double yellow, there's no overtaking at that point, Mark, is there? And you have to be seen to slow, don't you?
Yes, exactly. The car is going to be, there won't be safety car now, because when they were working on it, it was slightly outside of the racing of the track, so that's why it was quite safe. But on double yellow, it's very important that there's no overtaking, and even ideally you should slow down a little bit.
Yes. So McCarthy then has already built something like, well, I think it's more than 9/10 now between himself and Jim Booth, and I think Booth is going to be under pressure here from Coleman as well. So there is Booth, who led right from the start of the race, but that extraordinary overtake from McCarthy around the outside. So all of a sudden now, Jim has got a queue of 3-4 cars behind him now. So the pressure is going to mount on him, isn't it?
For sure, because the drivers know that they have to, if they are quicker, they have to overtake as soon as possible. Otherwise, McCarthy is going to pull away, which he is doing. We can see visually he's pulling a gap, but let's see. Coleman, Quattlebaum and Milstein, they seem to have good pace, at least same pace as Booth.
Yeah, so Jim Booth for the moment then holds on. The way it looks in terms of the classes, I should mention that, is it's McCarthy and Booth, P1 and P2. And what we should also bear in mind that Coleman and Quattlebaum are in a different category. They're AM drivers, therefore it's effectively P1 and P2 within class. But of course, you still have this pride of always wanting to overtake the car that's in front of you, whether it's in your same class or not, don't you, Mark?
Yeah, part of your brain is thinking you're leading the class, so that's what it really counts. But then you see you can make a position, and therefore you may take a risk. You have to take a control risk, let's say, and depends how level-headed or cold-headed the drivers are. But yeah, when you have someone in front of you and you are quicker, if you can, you make the move.
Target. Let's go back down into the pit lane and Shay Adam for us.
Well, Dave, I just want to help you understand something as to why we've stayed green, because racing at Road Atlanta is different. I'm standing in the main pits, but directly across the track on the start-finish line are the support pits. And where Brad Horseman's Ferrari ultimately came to rest is on the exit of the support pits. So technically he is far enough off the track. They were able to scramble both the fire truck and the flatbed while the cars were on the other side of the circuit. Race control is aware of where all the cars are at all times, so they can get those 2 vehicles to the car at a safe situation. They can work on the car because it's far enough off the racing surface that the crew is not in danger, which is why we've been able to stay green after turn 1. The flagger down there still waving the green flag, but at start finish, that yellow flag is out. We have an IMSA official standing here as well to make sure that there is no passing made under the yellow flag. So race control is all over this situation.
Oh, and thanks so much, Shay, for giving us all that information there, because the great news of that is that Brad Horseman is perfectly okay, and that for us, Mark, the racing can continue unabated.
Continue, and Booth is managed now to do his fastest lap, 26.7 versus 26.8 from McCarthy, and then in the back 26.8, 26.9, so the pace of the top 4 drivers is very similar. And now this lap, for the first time, McCarthy didn't pull or didn't extend the gap he had on Booth. So the race is still on for the leader of the race. And now we start also to lap bad markers. So here is also very important where, there's almost attacking Coleman on Booth. So also the bad markers can play a big thing, because depending where you catch them, they may make you lose a lot or a little bit of time.
Absolutely. Traffic management is critical to be a successful racing driver, because you are going to come up, and I think in fairness we're coming up against backmarking cars even sooner than I anticipated, and that can play a part in terms of how the race shapes out. So McCarthy, Booth, P1 and P2 with regards to the Shell drivers, and in terms of the AM drivers, it's Todd Coleman and Jim Booth. And there was that an advantage almost, as Coleman took a look at the inside, didn't he? But there was nothing doing there. Booth had got the optimum line.
He had a gap. I think would have been too risky to attempt a maneuver there, but definitely turn 10 is the best place to do the overtaking. Now we can see they are going through the bad markers. The lap time still similar, 26.7, 26.8. So the gap now between the top 2 drivers, it seems to be consistent. Here, for example, he's losing a lot more time, McCarthy, but one way, sometimes it plays for you and sometimes it plays against you. But definitely now, Booth has closed the gap on McCarthy due to the bad marker being in a difficult place of the track.
And if you're in the position that Booth is in now, Mark, you're looking at this as an opportunity for you to regain that time that you've lost.
Exactly, yeah, definitely. You really look to take advantage of that. In fact, we can see it's quite close. Ooh, the bad marker is in the middle. That was quite close. And now Booth is doing it from the outside.
And Booth undoubtedly has reduced that gap between McCarthy and himself now, advantaged perhaps by the traffic that has been backmarking, that has got past. What amazes me in terms of the speed here, Mark, is the consistency in the lap times across the top 10, 12 drivers. They're all in the 26s and 27s, aren't they?
Yeah, that's what we said before, that this car generating more downforce makes the driving the lap times are more consistent, and also the Pirelli tires, this new Pirelli construction also is giving the tires a lot more consistency. So that allows the drivers to push all the way. They don't have to manage the tires. They can push them all the way throughout the race, and that makes the racing also more interesting.
Well, here we can see McCarthy and Booth then as they cross the timing line. It is McCarthy that is leading the race in that 115 car, but Booth taking advantage of some of the traffic that McCarthy has come up against and has been able to narrow that gap down. Of course, it's all very well being as quick as the car that you are chasing, but you've got to find a way past the car as well. And here McCarthy is disposing of yet another backmarking car very, very quickly. I think he's learned the lessons of the last lap or so when he realised that perhaps he spent a little bit too long behind one of the backmarking cars. And as you said, Mark, sometimes it goes for you, sometimes it goes against you. And on this occasion, I think it went with him.
Yes, exactly. This time I think he got back all the time he lost before. But the fight that is behind is very, very tight. And from Booth, Coleman, Quattrobaum, Milstein, Gallo, they all bunched up together.
Osvaldo Gallo is looking very lively here. Of course, his next competitor is the car of Milstein, the Ferrari of San Diego car. Talking about the in-class battles, if you like, now. And here comes Michael Watt on Osvaldo Gallo. Michael Watt here is almost getting a draft off the back of that car, isn't he, Mark? And is he going to be able to make a move? You've got to be heavy on the brakes. You've got to be brave. You've got to be full of confidence. Here, is there going to be contact? Whoa!
Almost contact.
Mark,
that was very close.
Heart in the mouth moment that was.
Yeah, those cars have ABS, so on the braking you can really brake very, very late, and the electronics help you a little bit. There's still double yellow, so you cannot overtake into turn 1. So overtaking has to be in other parts of the track, but would be very important. That means they're still retrieving the car, which is going to be clear, I think, anytime soon.
This has got to be one of the most unpleasant situations to be in, because what Osvaldo is doing here, he's trying to beat the car. He's trying to chase the car in front of him. He's like the meat in a sandwich here. He's hunting and being hunted at the same time. So he's having to try and attack and defend.
It's horrible, because if you block too much the car behind, you lose space. But if you don't do that, they overtake you. And Gallo at the moment, if he overtakes Milstein, he's going to be on the podium from the Shell class. So yeah, you look back, but in those situations it's better to forget about the car behind you and just try to follow and attack the car in front of you.
Many racing drivers that I have spoken to have always said to me that you cannot drive through the rear screen or the rear view mirror. You've got to focus on looking through that windshield.
Yeah, you have to, otherwise you lose too much time. But sometimes it's quite unavoidable. Towards the end of the race, it would be normal for him to block.
Yes.
But at that stage of the race, although I think he's going to try to make the move now, he's very close. Yes, he goes late on the brakes, and he makes the move.
Michael Watt meant business, and he set that up perfectly on that occasion. And I have to say, healthy respect to Osvaldo Gallo. He gave him racing room as well.
Yeah, he was. When you are side by side, you have to admit that he's taken the position, and let's see if maybe you can do it later otherwise.
Now, Michael Watt did that at exactly the same place that he tried to do it on the previous lap. So was the lap previous a rehearsal? Was he just looking to see where Osvaldo was going to put the car, and he was just able to take that knowledge and use it on the next lap?
Probably, yes. He saw that there was a place for overtaking, and then when he was even closer, then he made the move. Fastest lap at the moment for Weather Hills, 1:25.8. So let's see, because he's also getting very close now to this group.
Absolutely. So the fastest lap, as you say, comes from that P5 in class, P9 in the race overall. More backmarking traffic, which is already playing into the hands and affecting and potentially impacting some of the lead drivers at the moment. McCarthy is leading. He's got something of a 3.8-second margin over this man, Jim Booth, with the golden arches on the side of his Ferrari 488 Evo Challenge car. What a race this is between the Coppa Shell drivers and also the AM drivers. And what is amazing me here, Mark, is the fact that the AM drivers are able to stick it to the Shell drivers as well. They're so within the class. They are very competitive, but they're also competitive externally with the classes as well.
Yes, the race, I mean, yes, there are two classes, but honestly, it's hard to see. Or let's say the new guys learn very quickly.
Yes.
And also these cars allow for the new drivers they give you a lot of confidence. And this new Evo package is, there was a piece of the car flying, but I don't think it's going to affect, but he's trying to overtake. That means probably there's yellow flags are now not being waved anymore, because Gallo overtook Watt into turn one.
So he has got that place back, hasn't he? And as you say, if those yellows have been rescinded now, Osvaldo Gallo was able to take advantage of that and win back that place that he'd lost out to Michael Watt earlier on. So as this race continues, a brilliant race we're enjoying here.
So many cars all together. Only McCarthy's been able to pull that 3.9-second gap, but behind looks like it's the start of the race. Look, even that looks like the race didn't even start. They are so close together.
Oh, Milstein once again under pressure now from Osvaldo Gallo, who has got ahead of that Michael Watt car. And of course ahead of them is Michael Quattlebaum in that all-black car, as we've got a car that has gone around here. And that, I'm pretty sure, is the car of Frank Chang that has gone around. Frank is able to get the car back out onto the track again, but dependent upon where that was, whether he will have dragged any gravel onto the track, I'm not sure. But we go back to this huge gaggle of cars then, as Michael Watt has once again got past Osvaldo Gallo. As we were looking at the other car that had gone around, we can also see the Louis Perescoya car there in the mix as well. There are so many cars here. As you say, it's almost like the start of the race rather than the conclusion of the race, because all these cars are still almost welded together. There's very little in terms of pace between each and every one of them. They're all having a go, and Michael Watt, who's been able to get back past that Osvaldo Gallo, they're really changing places. And we're into the final 12 minutes of this race. I don't know where the first part of this race has gone, Mark.
For sure, the driver benefiting from that is McCarthy. In fact, he's just done now a 24.9, which is a very fast lap indeed. But when you are fighting, you lose a little bit of time, although all the spectators really appreciate these drivers giving us that show. So McCarthy is definitely now on a very healthy lead, but behind, I wouldn't know which one of those. Look at that, they are like three abreast. It's beautiful. Wow, overtaking in a corner that you would never think overtaking can be done.
Well, there you go. They've proved us wrong, because Michael Watt has done that. And you just mentioning that 1:24.955, appreciating that McCarthy, of course, has got clear track in front of him. It reinforces what you were saying about the Pirelli rubber, how it's still, even into the final third of the race, it's still performing very well, isn't it?
Yeah, in the past you couldn't see that last year, and this year you can see that. And that drivers, they like that because they know they don't have to manage the tires. They can push from lap 1 to the last one, and they know the tire is going to hold.
Yes.
And that is something very, very good indeed. So Pirelli has done an excellent job there.
So Michael Watt in the 150 car then, chasing down that car of Kevin Milstein, but Michael Watt having to defend now. Oh, there's the 162 car. Of course, it's just not the optimum line there for Quattlebaum to have a go, and Michael Watt was fully aware of that. He was able to carry more speed, wasn't he?
Yes, he carried more speed. This is an amazing circuit, Road Atlanta, because it allows you in some corners to take the inside line, the outside line. The inside line is always the quicker one, but
yes.
if you take the outside line and you carry more speed, you can make the move. And now even Booth is benefiting from this fight as well, and he's also pulled a little bit of a gap. And then from Coleman, Milstein, Watt, Quattlebaum and Weatherhill, yes, they are all, it's like a train of cars.
Yes. The big loser in all of this has been Osvaldo Gallo, who's much further down the order now. Not necessarily in class, but certainly in terms of the cars on the road. So Osvaldo Gallo now running in P4, and perhaps any hopes he had of a podium appearance today may have gone away. We're into the final 10 minutes of this race. McCarthy then with a 10.8 second lead over the P2 driver, Jim Booth. Now, Jim Booth has got the comfort of having Todd Coleman behind him. Todd Coleman being an out-of-class driver as Osvaldo Gallo dives to the inside there and tries to get back just some of those places that he's lost out on.
He was late on the brakes, but managed to do a clean move. And let's see now if he's able to close on the group ahead of him. I think he should manage to close on them. He had speed before. Let's see if he's able to close the gap. 9 minutes to go. That shows, he's going. Yes, he's gonna hit the barriers. Turn 1 again.
Well, there we are. That sees the pirouetting John Lennon car, the 107 car, of course, damage to the rear wing and also to the rear wing end plates. Now, Lennon has made the car back out on track again. I would just be slightly concerned about where he's pulled out in front of a load of cars as well. Let's see this again.
He just basically, I think, carried too much speed. He had, both went wide actually. It's
yes.
Very funny. I think he was even a little bit disturbed by when he saw Gallo going so wide, and then he also went wide, and as soon as you touch the grass, then of course you lose grip. I don't know if he's aware that he's also got the rear wing broken. Probably the team will inform him.
I think you're absolutely right. I think he didn't expect Gallo to be on that line, and he was going for that line, and unfortunately he had to steer out of it to avoid any contact. But of course, with the damage to the end plates on the rear wing of that car, we will see how that continues for the final 8 minutes of this race. Osvaldo Gallo then, who's certainly been involved in a lot of the action and activity during this Coppa Shell race. What a race it's been between the Shell and also the Shell Am drivers. And here is Michael Watt, and then diving to the inside, the 162 car of Michael Quattlebaum, who has been trying for lap after lap after lap to get past Michael Watt, and on this occasion he has done it. So Quattlebaum into that P2 position in class now. McCarthy continues to extend his lead. It's up to 13 seconds as we see the race leading car now. Not seen much of him in the race, Mark, because there's been so much going on elsewhere.
Yeah, P1, P2, P3 of the Shell class seems to be that.
That's the car that we saw off a few moments ago.
Yeah, but it's again, of course, he's got no rear. The rear wing is broken, and you have less downforce, especially in a corner like turn 1. So he had a similar problem. He'll have to readapt his driving style because he has less rear grip, less rear downforce on the car. So P1, P2, P3 of the Shell class is fairly safe.
Yes.
The fight is really on in the AM class because the 3 top drivers are all very close together.
Well, we'll see how that develops over the final 6 3/4 minutes of this race. There is the 1, 2, 3 cars involved in this battle at the moment, right in the middle of it there. Of course, is Kevin Milstein, who's out of class. Coleman in the 169 car is the leading of the AM drivers ahead of Michael Quattlebaum and Michael Watt. And McCarthy and Booth out in a race of their own, really, because McCarthy now with some 15 seconds to the good. Jim Booth, I would have struggled to say, is going to be able to catch McCarthy now unless some disaster were to befall him. But Jim Booth, in turn, is not being troubled by Milstein, is he? So Jim Booth is able to focus on exactly what he's doing to secure that P2.
Yeah, the gap is not huge, but big enough for him to, at the moment, I think he should be safe. But let's see, because you never know. In the challenge series, there's always surprises even towards the end of the race, and especially when you see those drivers fighting from the beginning to the end. You know, you see the laps the time is starting to go away, and that's when some drivers take some more desperate moves.
Yes, when the time is running out, it's the last-ditch efforts, isn't it, to try and advantage yourself and move up a further position. Here comes Michael Watt then, side by side with Michael Quattlebaum as they absolutely, but Quattlebaum at the moment is able to show a clean pair of heels to Michael Watt as Michael Watt takes a look at the inside now, and good avoidance, in my opinion, from Quattlebaum, who could see him in his rearview mirror and left him room. But that, of course, is what he's trying to do here, is to really worry Quattlebaum ahead of him as well and try and break his confidence just for a millisecond. That's all it would take. But at the moment, Quattlebaum is doing a very, very good job of controlling this. But of course, Michael Watt has got Weatherall right behind him also.
Excellent driving standards from all of them, because they have given them just enough room that if he would make the move, then you can pass him. But honestly, I've been seeing Ferrari Challenge around the world, and the races we've seen here in Road Atlanta, the driving standards of the drivers are at the highest level. I can really congratulate them all, because they are giving us a great show, and yet all the cars except 30 started, 28 on track, you know, and that is a lot of credit to them.
Yes. No, I agree with all your sentiments there. I think the driving has been exceptional, and the race action has been exceptional as well. Proof of that is the fact that 26 minutes appears to have disappeared in the space of but a few seconds, as Michael Watt is going to have another go here. We could see Michael Watt put himself alongside the Quattlebaum car, and is Michael Watt going to be able to do it on this occasion? Quattlebaum comes back at him here. Those two cars absolutely side by side. There's nothing between them. Michael Watt is going to have to brake late and be king of the late breakers here. I think he's done it.
He's done it again. He gave enough room, and he went later on the brakes. He even benefited a little bit from the slipstream of Milstein, and because the straight is extremely long, and that is not over yet, however.
Brilliant driving as Michael Watt now has got Milstein in his target sights.
Oh.
Takes a look at the inside there. Of course, Milstein is one of the shell
He's
drivers.
going wide.
But look at this, Milstein, and that's what I was saying about pressure and confidence being lost when someone breaks your concentration just for a moment, Mark.
I think he looked in the mirrors. He lost a bit of concentration. He went a little bit wide. The track is a little bit dirtier at turn one if you take a wider line, and he managed, however, luckily for him, to still keep the car on the track, but now he lost 3 positions in one go.
Of course, they were external to his class, so at the moment Milstein still has a podium place, but of course he's now going to have Osvaldo Gallo breathing down his neck. And in the final 2.5 minutes of this race, as you say, sometimes you become even more courageous with trying to move up a place. Let's see what will happen.
Yeah, it is not over yet here. It's not very close, but we've seen how late he is able to go on the brakes. So what is... Oh, no, not that time. He still has time.
He did have a look, though, didn't he?
He did have a look. He did have a look. I think he's trying to place himself for the next, maybe for the next lap.
Well, we will see if he tries to do that on the next lap. So they round this turn 12 and head for the timing line, which they cross now. What a phenomenal race this has been. So there is the 169 car of Todd Coleman, and there is Michael Watt, who is menacing and is right behind. Now, bear in mind, this is for the lead in the AM class, and there's so much kudos, isn't there, Mark, from being on the top step of the podium rather than the second step?
Yeah, first place and second place. If you are in second place, you do take a bigger risk. It's true also that we have to think about the championship. There's only one race of the whole championship, so you have to take a control risk. Let's see what, if he's got the speed, of course, because now it looks like Coleman is trying to pull away a little bit more the gap.
Agree.
That's the place where he's going to have the best chance. And he's quite close now, I have to say.
Yes, he is. So this fight that's going on between Todd Coleman and Michael Watt, which is going to rage for the next 1 minute and 10 seconds. And well, you can't afford to take your eyes off this, but I think Coleman has got the measure of Michael Watt for the moment. But where is Michael Watt going to be prepared to have a go? He carries so much speed on this particular part of the track. Well, we just crossed to our leader here, Jason McCarthy for Wide World of Ferrari, who is up the road and really has had an untroubled existence right from the start of the race. He's had to just focus and concentrate on doing what he's doing, and that's built a nice gap for him. Good exit there from Michael Watt, who gets ever closer to that Todd Coleman car ahead of him. So as they go uphill now, is he close enough to be able to have a go? I'm not sure he is on this occasion.
Let's see, also bad Marcus may play a part
Yes.
in it. We hope McCarthy forgives us, because we haven't spoken much about him, because his race has been dominant style, but behind him there's been a fight from the beginning to the end. The bad marker definitely is playing a big part now, because Watt is all over Coleman.
Yes. So backmarker does exactly the right thing and tries to get out of the racing line and allows these drivers to continue.
Yes, he's trying. He's making the move.
He's done it! He has done it! So Michael Watt takes up the lead.
The last lap. But it's not over yet. We have braking for turn 10, and I'm sure Coleman is going to try to get him back.
Okay, well, here we can see as this fight is going to go all the way to the checkered flag. I have no doubt about that. But in the meantime, Jason McCarthy, as Mark has said, due credit to him, he's driven a fantastic
He's going
race.
late on the brakes. It's not over.
They are side by side here. Oh, and P2 is in jeopardy now as well.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. That's the problem when you try to get the lead, and by trying to do that, then you. Oh! He lost even to second place, but it's been an amazing race.
Well, I have to say, credit to all of them, Mark, because, you know, there were no desperate measures. Yes, of course, every driver was keen to make up all the places he could, but the race entertainment that has provided us has been first class.
Yeah, congratulations to all of them. Really driving high driving standards, high racecraft standards, and that's what we all want to see for them, that we all want to see for the public, and it's been another amazing race.
So Jason McCarthy takes the win in the Shell drivers, and for the AM drivers it is Michael Watt. Mark Genet, a big thank you to you. I know you've got to rush off now because F1 Clienti are due out on track shortly, so thanks once again. We appreciate so much you joining us. And
you're welcome.
We have delivered a nice race for you to help me commentate on, that's for sure. So Mark Genet then, who will head off back into the paddock now to prepare for F1 Clienti. Big thank you to the official Scuderia tester, and of course supreme driver coach and great racing driver in his own right as well. So Jason McCarthy, Jim Booth and Kevin Milstein for the Shell drivers ahead of Michael Watt. Then it was Wetherell and Quattlebaum that take P2 and P3. What a brilliant race. So credit to all of the drivers who have delivered in bucketfuls for us. An amazing race, so enjoyable. Of course, for Jason McCarthy, the second win of the weekend. And for Michael Watt, the first win of the weekend to add to his podium place yesterday. So cars making their way back into the paddock area. Hard to believe that that race was of some 30 minutes duration because it went oh so quickly. We'll be bringing you the full classification in just a few moments' time. Still trying to get my breath back from that amazing race that we have seen here at Road Atlanta. And look at the celebrations down there in the pit lane. And you can also see to the left-hand side of your screen the F1 Clienty car being prepared. Here's the top three in each of the categories. Jason McCarthy, I beg your pardon. Then it was Jim Booth and Kevin Milstein ahead of Michael Watt. Then the 199 car of Justin Wetherill and Michael Quattelbaum. The 1, 2, 3 in terms of the AM drivers. So here come the highlights then of what was an extraordinary race for Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell. At the start of the race, Jim Booth, it was that had it all under control, and despite desperate measures there by Brad Horseman to control that car, unfortunately he did clatter into the wall, the car far enough off the racing line not to cause too many problems. Back-marking cars, well, played into the hands initially of Jason McCarthy, who was able to take advantage of the traffic to put himself ahead of Jim Booth and was able to really extend his lead. Now, there were so many battles going on involving these drivers, Michael Quattelbaum and Michael Watt. They provided so much entertainment for us. It was absolutely extraordinary. Side-by-side racing going on for each and every bend of this extraordinary track here at Road Atlanta in the checkered flag. You could see how close they were behind, but it was going to be Michael Watt that would take the win for the AM drivers, and Jason McCarthy, who we can see jumping out of the car now, taking the win in that 115 car for the Shell drivers. Brilliant, brilliant racing. So the grand congratulations being afforded down there in the pit lane.
Another 17 seconds.
Are we getting filmed again?
Another 17 seconds. Yeah. By the way.
Yeah, I was trying to be conservative. The tires, I thought.
Just trying to listen into some of the conversations going on there. And there you can see this extraordinary track as part of Ferrari Racing Days. Wow, what a race we've had, and still another race to come. Here's confirmation of the classification then. Shell drivers first of all, McCarthy taking the win from Booth and Milstein, P2 and P3. We'll be seeing them on the podium later. Osvaldo Gallo, then Mike Luley, who very quietly had reached that P5 place ahead of Campbell. Then it was Davis and Jay Schreibman, and Brad Horseman, of course, we saw his car into the wall, but classified in P9. So let's go down to Shea Adam, who is with a very happy Mr. McCarthy, I would suggest.
Yes, exactly. A very happy Jason McCarthy. Jason, congratulations. Road Atlanta just seems to suit your driving style. Weekend sweep, but is there anything better than when your son runs over to the car and says, "Dad, you won again"?
No, not at all. It's very. That's an amazing feeling, and this race was great. I qualified pretty poorly, but made the race more exciting, and the drivers I passed were really good drivers that knew I was coming, and yeah, it all worked out okay.
Yeah, for sure it did. Now looking forward to the next race weekend, going to Indianapolis Motor Speedway, another legendary circuit. You looking forward to that one?
Maybe. I'm not sure if I can make it.
Oh, come on. Points lead. You've got to be there.
We'll see.
Well, congratulations on this weekend and enjoy it.
Thank you very much.
Well, Shay, you did your level best there to try and get a commitment, didn't you? Well, let's hope we do see at Indy. So there, good to hear from Jason McCarthy then, who finished with a margin of some 17 seconds at the end of the race. So it was extraordinary driving. Here's a classification in terms of the AM drivers who provided some extraordinary entertainment. Michael Watt taking the win from Wetherill, and then Quattelbaum P2 and P3. We'll be seeing all three of those, of course, on the podium. Then it was Coleman, Savini, Aitken, Chang, Krekel, Lennon, and Jan Bernier into that P10 place in terms of the AM drivers. This classification, page 1 that we're looking at right now. Here comes page 2 with Choxy and Carroll and Corley and DiCarlo. Then we see Perescoia, Heggie, Langberg, Hertzberg, Eileen Bildman, and Dave Musial Jr. then classified. Get that right in a moment. P20 ahead of Vittel, P21. So all the classifications for you, and of course all of it can be found on races.ferrari.com at any time. So brilliant race from our Shell drivers. And we have the F1 Clienti as the next out there on the track ahead of the Trofeo Pirelli race to come from this Ferrari Racing Days weekend here in Road Atlanta. And what brilliant entertainment we are seeing thus far, and I'm sure that's not going to change when it comes to the next race either. A great shot here of the paddock, and everything set up in the paddock there. For all these drivers to go out there and do their racing and entertain us in the fine style that they have over the course of this weekend. So the Ferrari 488 Challenge Evo car then is proving to be every bit as the designers had hoped in terms of the Evo package. Racing has been supreme. They really have made it work even better than ever before, which is a tall order, truthfully. Here, in terms of the Drivers' Championship, then, 57 points for Jason McCarthy. Osvaldo Gallo, P2 on 39 points. Jay Schreibman is on 29. A point ahead of Jim Booth, and it's Brad Horseman, Rich Beck, and Mike Luley. Kevin Milstein, Ian Campbell, and Mark Davis, the top 10 in terms of the Drivers' Championship for the Shell drivers. We'll bring you the AM drivers' points in due course as well, so you can keep up to speed of who's doing what and where, and here indeed they are. Justin Weatherall then on 58 points, already got a commanding lead over Michael Watt, but Michael Watt's win today has helped his points haul, and Michael Quattlebaum is P3 ahead of Dave Musial Jr. and then John Savini, and the rest of the Drivers' Championship points, as you can see on screen there. So the Drivers' Championship, of course, every single point counts, and with points awarded for pole position and fastest lap as well, it's not only about the race results necessarily. Shea Adam.
Mike Watt, is there a better place to get a race win than Road Atlanta, your home track?
It's a very fun track. It's a very technical track. It's enjoyable to race here. It really is. But it was a really hard-fought race. The team did a great job of getting the car prepared. Andy did a great job of coaching and just letting me know where I needed to be on the track at any instant in time. And the guys really raced hard. I appreciated just the opportunity to be with those guys and being a race that hard. That was fun.
I wish you could have seen your crew during the race. Watching your onboard footage, they were cheering you on just as hard as you were driving in the car.
Yeah, they're my biggest cheerleaders for sure, and we cheer each other on. It's a great crew. I think everybody is really happy on the team, and we're having a good time doing Ferrari Challenge. It's been a great year so far. We're looking for more things to come.
Congratulations, first win of many.
Oh, thank you. I hope so. I hope that's the case. But like I said, I'm just happy to be out here. It's a great experience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A very humble Michael Watt then, talking to Shea Adam then, and delighted with his race win. We're delighted that we've had the opportunity to enjoy such an extraordinary race from Ferrari Challenge North America and the Coppa Shell drivers. Make sure you join us for the Trofeo Pirelli race, which is the next racing activity. But for the commentary studio here and from down there in pit lane, thanks for watching. Bye-bye for now.